All right, what is up, everybody? Shadow Scout 0013 here, coming in with another list building video, kind of talking about Dark Troopers today and a few different list ideas with Dark Troopers. I know they've completely changed from just regular armor to armor 3. It's not bad. I mean, it would be better if it was armor 4, but I mean, obviously I get armor 3. Kind of makes sense with the fact that it's like a trooper unit, but they kind of updated it a little. So since it's a newer unit card, then I wanted to kind of go over it. I'm still waiting for mostly unit reviews on units that haven't been updated yet, so I'll wait to do those, but kind of want to talk about them and maybe some viable lists that could be used with them, and just to kind of give you a few ideas of whatnot, and maybe just something to kind of spark your ideas and your imagination with them in a way. So first off, if you want, go ahead and head on over to the Discord. This is a perfect spot for you to be able to just chime in and kind of talk with everybody and kind of ask about lists. You know, Alistair Kellett is really good about asking about different things, and even just kind of going about with Rebels, going with, Empire, talking about your CIS lists and things that you've done, talking about the tournaments. This is a great spot to just kind of ask and maybe get some answers or do whatever. It's really nice. There's some people who do shout out, like Coco Zula, who does a lot for this channel as well. He is going to be doing a tournament soon, and it'd be nice for everyone to kind of tune into that whenever they can, because it will be kind of like a later tournament. But yeah, feel free to check on him and see what he's doing. Secondly, and if you can just be a Patreon member, that'd be awesome. Basically, it goes into helping the channel and giving you more giveaways. And so I'm trying to think about the next giveaway again. It might just wind up being a $25 gift card. So for now, that's basically going to be the giveaway. So just leave a comment down below and be a YouTube subscriber. That's going to help get you in to win. And I'll try to announce that in February. And that way it gives everyone enough time to kind of get in, be a subscriber, leave a comment, and whatever. But this kind of just helps the channel grow. And again, just lastly, what I said is be a subscriber, leave a comment, and then that gets you in to enter and to win. All right, so let's talk about Dark Troopers. So Dark Troopers are Armor 3 plotting, which just means, if you don't know, you can also go, if you're on Tabletop Admiral, you can basically click these things. It's during an activation, unit with plotting keyword can only perform one move action per their activation, and these guys get 2. And I think that's with the unstoppable. Yeah, unit with unstoppable keyword is eligible to activate during the activation phase while it has 1 or fewer face down order tokens. And so basically, with these guys, you're going to be able to have 2 orders in your order pool for them. So you kind of get double. So if you have 8 activations and you have 2 of these guys, well, technically you have 10 activations, because you get an extra 2 order tokens. And then with Unconcerned, they don't benefit from cover at all, and you cannot repair them. So when they start losing health, they start losing health. And so you kind of have to do what you can to protect them from enemy fire with line of sight blocking or out of range. So those are the main 2 things you got to really keep in mind with them. And that's it. They're really simple. They throw a red and a white in melee each, so the more you have, the better. And there's 3 of them per unit, and then you can upgrade up to another 3. So that's pretty decent. They do shoot at range 1 to 3, which is great. So they're not one of those range 1 to 2 units, and they all throw a black dice. They don't surge offense or defensively. They do throw a red dice though with armor 3, and they have 2 health each, and you don't have to worry about courage. So that's really nice. You never have to worry about them panicking. And yeah, and they're only speed 1 on a regular trooper base, so they are fairly slow. So if you can do whatever you can to help them move along, then that's great. Technically, each round you're going to be able to move up to a speed 3, because you can move the first activation and then shoot, and then when you draw their second order token, you can again move. And so that's basically a speed 3, if I'm not mistaken. So actually a little, yeah, because it's what, 4, yeah, 8, yeah. So yeah, All right, so let's take a look at the upgrades. So with programmed loyalty, you don't have to give them this. So basically, this unit can only be issued by orders from a commander, but it's also going to gain retinue commander. And with retinue allows you to give backup. So they can technically give backup with retinue, which is really, really nice. And so that helps a lot. And then, but again, you don't have to put programmed loyalty. It's just kind of nice to give them a free aim or dodge whenever they're range 2 of commander. And then their heavies. You can go with a Myrtleizer, which is just a melee one, and it's suppressive in melee. And with everything being very melee oriented now, it was actually not that bad of an idea to have this as your second heavy. Maybe not your first, but your second one. And they can still shoot the black dice range 1 to 3. And then when you're in melee, then you can start using this because it doesn't say anything about sidearm. So yeah, so this is really nice to have. You also have a frag launcher, which is again 2 red and a black at range 1 to 2. It's blast, impact 2, and it does cycle, which is really nice. So if you use it your first activation, your second activation in that same round, you can't use it, but at the end of that second activation, it's going to be ready for the second round, so you'll be able to use it again. So that's very, very nice. And impact 2, again, is really good, and blast is going to be really nice, hopefully with the amount of dice that you'd be rolling. And if it's paired with the assault cannon and you have blast, that's a lot of dice because that's already, what, 4, 7 plus another 3, so 10 dice with no cover. Critical 1 if you've got the assault cannon in there. And it's, 4 dice, range 1 to 3, so that's, again, really, really good. It's just so expensive. It does bring you to about 150 just to have 1 extra mini. So it's a 4 mini unit, 8 health though, red dice, armor 3, not bad, but still fairly expensive. And then if you wanted to, you can just add an Imperial Dark Trooper mini to it just to give them 2 more extra health, red dice saves, but you don't, it's just up to you. I mean, 32 is going to be a little bit cheaper than obviously 36, but for 4 extra points, it's nice to get the extra dice and suppressive keyword. But yeah, you can make these as cheap as you want. I mean, say that you did the frag launcher and the cannon, you're at 195, so just on 200, which is almost standard for a pretty decent heavy. I think this is, right now, that's the same as a ATST with the Imperial Hammers pilot and the Twin Light. No, sorry, okay. Maybe decked out, I should say. If you were to put everything on there, not even with link targeting, right? Yeah, 183. So it's very expensive. It might not used to have been that expensive, but it's not too bad. Maybe instead of the frag launcher, you decided to go with the Myrtleizer just to have it in case. That's 186. Again, that's not the worst, but yeah, it's 200 points. But, 1,000 point list now. It's not that bad. Okay, so that's the Dark Troopers. They're good. They're not as great as they were. And you can't transport them, which kind of sucks, but there's still a lot of good list options. So let's kind of go over a few. Let's go with one with Director Orson Krennic with improvised orders and electro binoculars so that he can hand out 2 aims if he needs to. And then with Exemplar, he's going to be able to hand out that aim that he has with the Dark Troopers. And I made this list have only 1 Dark Trooper in case you only have 1 Dark Trooper unit. So technically this is 10 activations, but we're just going to kind of go through it real quick. But yeah, he'll be able to use his Exemplar to help give out an aim to the Dark Troopers, unlike Gideon. And then he's also going to have spotter 1 or spotter 2 now with this, so he's going to be able to really hand out those aims. So you have Darth Vader with push, burst of speed, into the fray, and tenacity. Obviously the operative version. You have IG-88 with hunter and targeting scopes, just to get the extra range in there. Del Meeko with in the snow troopers with smoke grenades, so that way you can double move, shoot, you can pop your smoke, and then that'll help your troopers, not your dark troopers, but it'll also kind of maybe help Darth Vader and a little bit of IG. And also Del Meeko can heal IG, but he can't heal the Dark Troopers. So that's why he's in there, to kind of really help IG along. You have your Stormtroopers with a medical droid and the DLT-19. So the medical droid's mostly for Vader, but if you need to Like if it's the last round, you know you're probably going to go first. If you were to put a wound on Del, that way you don't have to lose a guy, then you can heal a wound back before hopefully he takes any more shots. It's not really going to matter. It just winds up equaling out, but that's just up to you. That's just another thing that you can do. Your stormtroopers here have an Imperial officer and an RT-97C to give you that extra courage to and inspire, just in case you need to inspire any of the other corps. So Rebel officers, I feel like, are going to be very good in some instances, and it's really nice that if you do have Krennic, having an Imperial officer on your corps really does help his 3-pip and you with his 3-pip a little bit more. So instead of completely panicking or losing out on maybe inaction, your courage 2, and it's a little bit better, a little bit easier. You have the Imperial and Death Troopers with the DTF-16 and the comms relay, along with their free config. The comms relay is to kind of give out in order to the Stormtroopers or Del Meeko or anyone like that, because you can only, with programmed loyalty, give the Dark Troopers an order from a commander, and you gain from retinue. Now, if you don't want programmed loyalty, it doesn't say on the normal car that you can't give him an order or give them an order from anything else. So if you don't really care for programmed loyalty with Krennic and don't really need to be next to him, then obviously you can use those extra 5 points for anything else. So maybe like, we'll say that just for this purpose, maybe to give the IRG with Electro Staff and Protector, maybe give them the environmental gear so that their charge isn't hindered by a speed 1 move. Now they can go speed 2 across difficult terrain, and now you've got an extra 3 points that you can do with whatever you want, and probably give someone else an extra smoke grenade. That way you're setting up tons of light cover in case you need it. You can also give it to the IRG so that way they can have light cover, whoever you want to give it to. But we'll try to give the smoke grenades out to somebody. If also you wanted to give out the suppressive to the IRG, maybe instead of smoke grenades, if the sonic imploders at some point go to melee, giving a suppressive to the IRG would also be pretty good in melee, because then if anyone's got a standby or if anything like that, you can strip it with that extra, order. But now, without the programmed loyalty, if you wanted to comms relay that order to the Dark Troopers instead, you can, since that's your only heavy. And then you've got 2 extra, special forces units that are still in the bag, so you have a chance of getting either of those and going with whichever one you want. Or you can always comms relay the order to Vader if you're trying to play one like Krennic's or IG's cards at all. So maybe you play like Krennic's 1-pip or IG's 1-pip. I'd probably go with IG's 1-pip, and because you only have 1 Vader's 1-pip, like Implacable. You can at least play IG's 1-pip, comms relay the order to Darth Vader, and still go with Darth Vader first, and then give IG still all the benefits of his 1-pip. And I think with stuff, I've got both of Vader's 1-pips anyway, so it's just really up to you. If you want Voracious Ambition, you can, or if you really wanted focused on the kill, that way the target of your bounty can't use any green tokens. That is also really nice. And if he passes this wound threshold, actually, you know what? Let's just go with that, because that's really not that bad. And I'll update it like this. That way, in the description down below, you can find a link to all of the lists that I go over and change them if you wanted to try to use it as just like a template. So yeah. All right, that's the first one. You've got a lot of threats in here between the Dark Troopers, Darth Vader, IG, Krennic helping either the Darks or anyone else. You've got the Death Troopers and Krennic who can compel anybody. I mean, if somehow Vader did have 3 suppression on him, you could at least compel Vader to take a suppression, move, and then move again. So that way he does always make it into whoever he needs to make it into. So yeah, that's the first list. The second list, this time I've got Moff Gideon in there. Doesn't really have any upgrades on him. I've got Stormtrooper with a medical droid. I've got another Stormtrooper with Gideon, a medical droid, and emergency stims. And I've got another Stormtrooper squad with the entire squad, or a Stormtrooper unit with an entire squad. So the reason I've got 2 medical droids and then this one with emergency stims is because of Moff Gideon's Ruthless. So when another friendly Core Trooper unit at range 2 and in line of sight has a phase-up order token, and it activates, it can suffer a wound, perform a free action. So you can suffer a wound, put it on emergency stims, and, do whatever you need to do. Or maybe you put it on Gideon, do your moves, and then you can heal back that wound. That way, when you shoot, you still have all the firepower, and then you just heal him, so that way you start putting moves on somebody else. And you also still have, like I said, emergency stims on him. Now, the Stormtrooper squads are going to work really, really well with Gideon, because obviously you have way more bodies on your core. So now you can use Ruthless a lot more. So now they're going to be able to get an extra free action if they take a body. And if they're not really in the fight, or if they really need to get to another, POI, then Ruthless really does come in handy. So, yeah, between 4 extra wounds that you can heal with these medical droids and a whole squad, it's not like you're going to be losing much by, oh, wow, you're going to lose a white dice. But also, obviously, you're losing a body, which can help with, holding a POI. But that's what these are in there for. And then Gideon, the reason he's also in here is if you give him an order, you can coordinate and give one of these other corps, especially the Stormtrooper squad, in order. So that way Ruthless really helps and stands out. And you're also going to be able to do that just by, maybe any of the 3 pips. If you've got, a good... Yeah, it's mostly the 3 pips that you're going to be doing it. Maybe even a 1 pip if you wanted to give the 1 pip to Gideon. And then he can coordinate, and you can get 2 orders out on a 1 pip. So I've got 2 range troopers as well with the DLT-20A, just for a little extra impact and range. So now you only have like mostly range 3 with these guys, kind of white dice. Now you've got your range 4 and up to range 5 with the range troopers. You've got an ATST, mostly to provide line of sight, but also, again, for extra impact and, a heavy-duty piece with 11 health. He's got the Hammer's Pilot and the Twin Light Blaster Cannon. And then you have 2 Dark Troopers with Programmed Loyalty and the Assault Cannon. So that way you save points by not having too many people on there. And, Programmed Loyalty when you've got Moff Gideon there is not bad. Plus, Moff Gideon has Entourage. So Entourage is going to be able to always give out an order to one of the Dark Troopers. And then again, if you didn't really care about Ruthless, you can always give the order to the other Dark Trooper. But you have 3 heavies in here, technically. So you'll have, 5 heavy tokens in your bag, 1 for the ATST and then 2 each for the Dark Troopers. So you don't have to worry about orders for heavies that much. And then again, with your range troopers, you have a lot of armored units in here. So you really kind of want to keep them alive. And again, the medical droids can be used to keep the range troopers alive, especially since they're your heavier range options with better guns. I think Ruthless should be more reserved for POI moves if you wanted to do that. If you needed to maybe get an extra move because they're suppressed or something like that, that's also pretty good. And Gideon can really help that. Now, if you don't think that you're ever going to give any tokens really to Gideon, then you can substitute him, save some points, maybe go with the DLT 19, save yourself 9 points. You'd have 11 points to do with what you want. And you could maybe get rid of put emergency stims on somebody else, maybe get rid of the emergency stims. Now you have 19 points to do with whatever you want. Maybe you can't give yourself a heavy. I mean, you can't give yourself a heavy, but you can probably give yourself you can give your 3 core the recon intel, and then you have 8 points because you have emergency stims in this. You can maybe give Moff Gideon emergency stims, or you can give him improvised orders or whatever you wanted to. But I figured you have some range in your list with range troopers. You've got a ton of heavies. You've got a line of sight blocking for your Imperial Dark Troopers. Maybe you can try to keep your Dark Troopers behind the ATST so they stay alive a little bit longer. And then with the other unit that's not behind the ATST, you can transport with Moff Gideon's 2-pip into a place you really need. So that way you kind of keep them safe, make them, use your Dark Troopers together, kind of put them around each other, and your ATST ahead of the Dark Troopers. And then have one of your Dark Troopers definitely following along and kind of baiting with the other Dark Trooper unit so that all of your opponents, like maybe armored unit or anti-armor units kind of go towards the ATST and the other one. And then maybe eventually you flank them with the 2-pip. So that way, you know, they're kind of now separated. And maybe with the ranged troopers and the stormtroopers and Moff, you're going towards the other guys. You technically have 11 activations with this list. So that's not bad. Just hope that you don't lose a Dark Trooper unit, because then it can start going down fairly quickly. But yeah, that's the point. And I think, you know, with Moff Gideon, again, the squads are going to be very helpful, and Gideon in there to be able to coordinate and order to one of the squad units, you're going to get a lot out of Ruthless. So I think that's a really good idea. All right, let's go to another one. You have Moff Gideon again with Darksaber this time, Krennic. And I think this list is going to really benefit with Krennic's 2-pip. Now, okay, so if we were just real quick going to the orders, I've got Die at My Hand, Ambush. You have something I want, again, to just teleport into a POI, even if you needed to. Pin Down. Pin Down can be used for the ranged troopers, I should say, or, you know, a heavy. So maybe you have Entourage into a Dark Trooper unit, and then you give your other 2 orders to the other Dark Trooper and the ATST. So now all your heavies have an order, and you don't have to worry about it. And then when they perform an attack against a unit with a face-up order token, you can shuffle that token back into its order pool. And if they have like a Yoda 3-pip, per se, this would be the absolute best case scenario, because if you've given your orders to your Dark Troopers, then they're going to be able to activate twice and shoot, 2 times each. So that's 4 other shots, 4 shots that you can kind of, mess around with, plus the ATST getting to shoot and split fire if it needs to. So that's a lot of order tokens you can mess up with them. And even with CIS, with their, coordinate, you can kind of mess up stuff. And then with coordinated fire, you're giving it to your core. So now you're giving it to, Gideon and your other 2 stormtroopers. So they'll be able to share aims with the Dark Troopers and or ATST, because it just says with another friendly unit, not trooper unit. So you can do a lot with that. Plus, again, Ruthless really takes an effect, because if they don't, maybe they have to move and then you want to shoot, well, you can do Ruthless to give them an aim, move, and shoot, and then they can coordinate that aim. So there's a lot of fun things you could do with this list. Okay, so you have Moff with this one, Darksaber. Krennic, you have a Snow Trooper unit with a Flame Trooper, a Snow Trooper squad, and targeting scopes, because you're definitely going to need them with the white dice. Another Snow Trooper with the Ion Snow Trooper squad and Recon Intel, because, again, the squads, I feel like, again, go very well with Moff Gideon. You've got Stormtroopers with Gideon and another Gideon and Stormtrooper squad. So again, you've got so many bodies, so Ruthless really helps a lot. Giving an order to Gideon is going to coordinate to a Snowtrooper, so now you've got 2 core units with a face-up order token that'll really benefit from Ruthless. And then you've got an Imperial Death Trooper squad with comms relay. So maybe you give 1 order to Gideon Hask, who will coordinate to these guys. You give an order from comms relay to your 3rd Snow Trooper, or your 3rd core unit. So now all your core have face-up order tokens, and you've only handed out 1 order, technically, because you've just given it to Gideon. And that's all you need, yeah. So there's lots of ways to at least give the orders or get orders to these guys. And technically, and with comms relay, you can just relay it to Gideon Hask, who will then coordinate to Snowtroopers. So now, without even giving out any orders, you have 2 core units with face-up order tokens that, again, will benefit from that Ruthless with heavy squad, so they've got bodies to spare. I've got and the Death Troopers have comms relay, they're free config, and the DLT-19, so they're going to be able to have that long range and extra impact just in case. So lots of good fun stuff there. You have the Scout Trooper unit with offensive push, so that way you just have like a flanking unit, or you just have a unit who can hold something. If they need to move, use offensive push, and then shoot. At least they're going to get that aim after moving, and if they're going to stay still, you can recover and shoot. And especially if you have the 3-pip, again, the coordinated fire, that's really going to help to give an aim out to the scout troopers, and then they can recover and shoot if they're in a good spot, so then they don't have to necessarily waste a turn not having an aim. So there's something there. And then you have two dark trooper units, again with the assault cannon and programmed loyalty, so that way they can get retinue with Gideon, so then Gideon lives a little bit longer with backup, and they're getting a free aim at the beginning of the turn. If, again, you only have one dark trooper unit, you can basically get rid of this. Let's see, I won't save it, but you'll have enough for maybe even like if you wanted a fun operative, you can get a fun operative. Like, you couldn't go with Vader because Vader's 155, but you could go with, like, you know, Din. Maybe you go with Din and you put his spear. Obviously, you give him the flamethrower, you give him his jetpack. And then maybe I like you doing up close and personal now at this point, as well as seize the initiative in case he does have to get in order. If you don't want to seize the initiative, then maybe like situational awareness, tenacity, there you go. Now you have 8 points to do with what you want still, so maybe you give the Stormtrooper squad here recon intel, or you give the Death Troopers recon intel, so that way there's something going on there. You still have 10 activations instead of 11, and then, yeah, not too bad. You get bounty in that extra one, and then you also get, you know, the flamethrower, which is very nice. So yeah, you could do that if you wanted to, but again, mostly this one was for the extra squads, all the extra bodies, and for Ruthless, because then there's lots of fun things you could do POI-wise with that. And I think with the battle plans, you know, intercept, breakthrough, and recover the research, because with intercept, obviously you only have 4 points, and if you really needed to give one of the Stormtrooper squads or whatever the token, the free, like the, what is it, the contested with an intel token, maybe you give the intel token to like the Stormtrooper squad, you use Ruthless to do a move, you do a move and then another move, and you're probably almost in scoring range of the home objective, and you're contesting it. And maybe you try to go with them last. And so that's really nice. If you have 2 Dark Trooper units, you can kind of, you know, hopefully get your opponent's units to go after the Dark Troopers and kind of stay away from something. Or, I mean, if you needed to contest these, which is a lot closer, then obviously you can Ruthless yourself to get into scoring range and still maybe shoot or something. But I feel like getting yourself across here is easier with a whole squad and that keyword that I keep mentioning, and I don't want to say it again, it's getting a little trite. So breakthrough is also going to be really good between Moff Gideon's 2-pip and the Dark Troopers, because then you can just teleport into the scoring range almost, unless obviously they've got units there, which you'll come just shy of scoring range, then maybe move. Maybe you don't get quite into scoring range after that move, but you're not getting them to come towards you. And then again, with this amount of squads you have, and if you had 2 Dark Troopers with 11 activations, hopefully, you know, you can save one of the huge squads who can Ruthless move. So now you have 3 moves and you're basically in scoring range. So there's lots of ways to do that. And then with Recover the Research, as long as you're contesting, you don't have to be securing. As long as you're contesting, then you're good. And so if you needed to make sure that you got more of the POIs, Ruthless yourself. There you go. All right. So another one, Krennic is so good. Okay, and so with Krennic and 2 Dark Troopers, obviously the 2 Dark Troopers are trooper units, so you can give Krennic's 2-pip with free standbys to the Dark Troopers, and they can shoot basically 3 times at a unit that's wanting to come at them, or it'll prevent a unit from basically moving, and you can't shoot off the standby from the Dark Troopers. And so that's why I've got Krennic in here big time between Exemplar and the free standbys you can give to the Dark Troopers. It's just so nice. And for this one, I have Krennic in here with Veers with improvised orders. So lots of ways to hand out aim tokens between Spotter 2, Spotter 1, Exemplar, and both of them. Maybe to expand the Spotter a little bit more. Maybe you kind of separate you separate Krennic and Veers just a little bit to expand your exemplar range. Maybe you have, Veers up ahead of you by like range 1, maybe up to range 2, and then you give him an aim with Spotter 1, and then now he can give and that aim from exemplar up to range 2 of him, so that's range 4 from Krennic, and so now Krennic's, Spotter has drastically been enhanced. And then Veers, again, with Spotter 2, can hand out those aims and then maybe take an aim. So he's given out 2 aims. He's got 2 aims for exemplar. Krennic has 1 just in case. You've got 3 Stormtrooper units with the Imperial Officer, so that way Krennic's 3-pip isn't that bad, or as bad. And now they've all got Courage 2 and Inspire, so if they need to inspire each other, that's going to be really helpful. You have an Imperial Death Trooper for Entourage who can give out an order to the Range Troopers, or if you don't want programmed loyalty on here, and then you can just give one of them an order. Now, because there's no Entourage with Gideon, because you don't have him in this one, but this one there's way more points. You have 12 activations, and you've got Dart Troopers with the Assault Cannon and Frag Launcher. So you've got some pretty decent stuff on here. And with the Dart Troopers being so jacked with so many things, and then Range Troopers with all their long range, you've got the Death Troopers with the long range here, and then all your Stormtroopers are Courage 2. Every unit in here is Courage 2 and or Null Courage. So at least you've got a pretty decent 12 activation Courage 2 list that's going to do very well. And like I said, you've got range. So you've got the Assault Cannon and the Frag Launcher. The Frag Launcher's, I think, only range 2. But, I mean, if you're at range 3 of something, you can still just use the regular gun on the unit. So you've got lots of good range 3, lots of good range 4 and 3. And if you needed to use the config here for range 4, that's going to be pretty decent. And then, Krennic's Veers is 1-pip, range 4 to infinity. You're going to be doing some damage long range. And then if anybody does get close, then your Dark Troopers hopefully can do a ton of damage. Now, the reason I have the frag in here was because of extra blast and impact. If you think you're going to need to kind of keep them safe and get them close, well, you change both of the units to have Myrtleizers instead of the frag, and now you've got 19 points to do with what you want. It's not quite, enough to give both of your Range Troopers the extra guy, but maybe with 19 points, see, only 816, well, not quite being able to give all 3 of them anything, but maybe Veers can go with Electric Binoculars, hand out even more aims, and then you've got some Stormtrooper units who maybe want to go with the Smoke Grenades. Now you've got 2 points left, but you've got 3 Smoke Grenades, tons of ways to give out some aims, especially to the Range Troopers and or Dark Troopers. So, yeah, I think this is a pretty fun list, and let's see, with the commands in here, I've got Maximum Firepower, obviously, for the extra. Those 4 dice, Impact 2, Immune to Deflect, Surging to Crit, Sharpshooter 1, not too bad. You've got Voracious Ambition, so that you can, put 3 random order tokens from your order pool and know what they are. And then you've got Deploy the Garrison, so that both of these guys can have a standby. And if you're in melee with the Myrtleizer and you give them a free standby, hopefully you just wait to go with them if you can. And the unit that's engaged, hopefully they go, and then you can use your standby, and then you've got 2 other turns in which you can use your melee, so that's possibly 3 attacks into whatever. And yeah, if you're up against a Jedi, Impact 2, Pierce 2 is gonna suck because it's gonna take at least 1 guy down, but that's 1 guy, and that's only 1 turn. So if you can hopefully roll really well, then you're going to get a pretty decent attack off with that. Pin down, in case you wanted to give both of the Dark Troopers, again, the ability to mess with your opponent's order pool. Also, again, with the Range Troopers, you have 2 of them. So, and with the long range, they're probably going to be a little bit more effective, but I guess it just depends on, if you're in melee with the Dark Troopers, and maybe they've given their Jedi an order with a 3-pip, well, now you just go ahead and go with your Dark Troopers, and you mess up their order, and you can try to go again. So there's a lot of fun things again with the Dark Troopers. It's just a matter of how it winds up playing out. Now with Annihilation Looms, obviously you don't have to give it any suppression to the Dark Troopers here, but you will have to give it to everybody else, which is going to gain 2 suppressions, or if it's around 4 or 5, you're going to give them 3 suppression, which is why the Courage 2 Imperial Officer Stormtroopers are really going to help, and the fact that they have Inspire 1 is also really going to help with the list. So yeah, and then the last list, sorry if this video is going so long, I wanted to make a variation of lists that kind of seem fun with a different amount of Dark Troopers, just in case. This one's going to have Palpatine with Burst of Speed, Force Guidance, and Force Barrier and Improvised Orders. Force Barrier, sadly, can no longer be used to protect the Dark Troopers from a crit. Kind of sucks, but at least with Force Guidance, you can hand out a Surge token to them each round. And then you've got, Improvised Orders in case you wind up getting like IG-88 and you don't want to go with him. Who's going to have Targeting Scopes and Hunter. Now, it would be really, really nice if there was a way with maybe when you had like Gideon or someone else, if you could get 15 points to give them the aggressive tactics, so that way, the Dark Troopers wind up getting another Surge token, that would be great. But at least, with Palpatine, you're going to be able to give them a Surge without Improvised Orders each round. You got 2 Stormtrooper units with the Medical Droids. So you have 4 other possible heals that you can give to either Palpatine or the IRG. You have 2 IRG with the Electrostaff Guard, Protector, and Environmental Gear, again, to help with Charge, and Protector just to help with Palpatine. And you've got Portable Scanner on your 3rd Stormtrooper unit so that they can give out a dodge to Palpatine or the Dark Troopers or the IRG. And then you've got 2 Dark Trooper squads with Programmed Loyalty and the Assault Cannon. Maybe you save yourself the 10 points here, and you save yourself the 5 points here, and you give yourself Aggressive Tactics. Boom, there you go. Now, they don't have to have an order from someone, and now they'll have 2 Surge tokens each round when you're giving them an order, I should say. But if you're using all of Palpatine's orders, it kind of sucks with his 2-pip and his 1-pip only going to him. So HQ uplink kind of doesn't do much on everyone else because it's just that way. So it's a bind. It's tough. It's harder with this list than it would be with another list. So like maybe if there was a way, let's see, if you had 2 more points, maybe just somewhere in here, smoke grenades. So maybe you don't want smoke grenades on, we'll say, all right, well, actually, yeah, okay, so get rid of smoke grenades here. Get rid of smoke grenade, nope, get rid of electric binoculars, and with his improvised orders, give yourself aggressive tactics. Boom. Now, when you give out an order to either, like, Vader, you can give him a Surge token. You can give the Dark Troopers here a Surge token. It's not going to wind up getting saved. So if you want to make these changes, all you got to do is just go to the description and pull up the list and then do it yourself if you'd like. Maybe you get rid of emergency stims here, and you get rid of, I don't know if I want to get rid of the 5 points there, but I guess that's the only way you're going to get an extra 5 points. Maybe you get rid of one of them and you're going to transport that unit to be far away. So now you don't necessarily have to have programmed loyalty on them, and that way when you have aggressive tactics, boom, you're going to give them a Surge token, and I will actually update the list for that, so that way you do have it and you don't have to worry about it. Because that seems like a lot of fun, especially if you're going to transport them and they're going to be nowhere near Moff Gideon or another commander, then you don't necessarily have to have it. But hopefully, if they can get an order somehow, they'll get a Surge token. But with Palpatine and Dark Troopers, they are a trooper unit. So Palpatine can just pull the strings and have them do a free attack or a free move action. And that is very, very important with these Dark Troopers to either move or shoot, because the amount of dice they're going to be shooting, or at least being able to get an extra move in, and then you go with them twice. So now that's 3 moves in one activation, or in one round, I should say, that one of them has performed. And that can be huge. The RRG, obviously, with charge, pulling the strings to get them a free move action, they can then use charge. As far as I'm still thinking, unless with the new rules where they've changed where you can't guidance and have them do a free steady move, I guess that will screw up charge. But so then it's just better to pull the strings on the Dark Troopers here. So yeah. All right, guys, that is really it. Hopefully you enjoyed these list ideas with Dark Troopers, and I hope that you wound up learning a lot, because they are a lot of fun, and I know a lot of people have bought them, and you're probably not knowing what to do with them, or maybe you just don't think they're as important. Oh, hopefully these lists kind of gave you some inspiration or kind of help. I know you can't transport them anymore with the tank, and so that kind of hinders a lot of what you can do with them, but that's why, with Palpatine, giving them the free move is very helpful, or keeping them alive behind an ATST can be helpful, or other line of sight, so that they can just kind of get up there without getting, destroyed so early. And with them being protected by the range troopers, hopefully, again, if anything does come out on the board, your range troopers can shoot farther away at the units that have, impact guns. So you've got lots of ways to protect your guys. But all right, that is it, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this. Head on over to the Discord and become a member, and feel free to interact. Head on over to the Clan of Shadows Patreon, where you can just kind of help the channel grow and help with the giveaways, and also be a subscriber and leave a comment down below for the $25 gift card. And yeah, all right, guys, y'all take it easy, and I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day.